Hi, and welcome back to this part 6 of this FastAPI HTMX simple social media programming application. So on this episode, we're going to add a like feature to our social media site. So come and check it out. I think you're going to enjoy it. So conceptually, what we'll want on our user interface is whenever they come into this page here with all the posts on it, we want each post to say how many number of likes there are on the post, and then we'll also want to have a button on the bottom that allows the user to add a like to that post, or unlike it if they've already put a like. So in order to set this up, the first thing we're going to do is go into our backend and set up our database so that we can persist the likes. So we're going to create a new table. So in order to do that, I'm going to go into migrations folder and add a new step here. So this could be step 4.create the likes table.sql. And so how the likes are going to work is we want to refer each user can like one post. So there's going to be a many to many relationship between the two tables. So one user can like many posts, and one post can have many user IDs that like it. So we're going to create a new table that reflects this main-to-main relationship. So we're going to say create table if not exist likes, and the schema we're going to want to do is we're going to say, okay, it's going to have a user ID, which is an integer. It's going to have a post ID, which is also an integer. Now we want our primary key to be the combination of these two so that we can enforce that there must be a uniqueness, that one user ID can only like one post. So we'll say primary key is going to be on the user ID and the post ID. And now we need to put our foreign keys. So we're going to say that foreign key user ID, and it's going to reference the user table, users, and the user ID column. And then we're just going to do the same as we've been doing on our foreign keys, which is on update, we're going to just cascade, and then on delete, we're also going to cascade. And then now we just need to repeat this for the post. And it's going to be basically the exact same, except we're going to refer to the post table. So it's going to be post ID, post, and post ID. So we should be able to execute this query. So let's go ahead and run this query. And we got a syntax error. So let's see, I messed something up here. And I forgot to put the foreign key right here. So this needs to be foreign key, not just foreign key. And let's try that again, run our query, and this time we see it successfully runs. And so let's just verify that we get the schema. On here in the Explorer, we can see that we get the likes table now. But let's just verify that the schema looks correct. So here I already have it pulled up. So let's do .schema for the likes. And yep, you can see we get the correct schema here to show up. So that's it for the database. Now we'll just need to start adding routes and adding database operations on our script so we can add new likes into the database. So that'll be next. So now that we have our like table set up, we need to go into our database file, database.py file, and set up a method that we can add a like. So let's go and start working on this. So we're going to create a new method called add a like. It's going to take a connection. And we're going to need to give a new Pydantic model called a like. So I'm just going to go ahead and define it here as a like. But it's going to give us an error because like is not defined. So let's go into our models.py file and define a like. So we'll go and add a new class here called a like. And again, it's going to inherit from the base model. And on the base model, we're just going to have a user ID, which is a type int. And we're going to give it a post ID, which again is a int. So if we go back into our database file, we can now import this into our header. So from models, we want to import the like. And now that error should go away at the bottom. And so we see that went away. And this method is not going to return anything for the add like. So we're going to just kind of continue on with what we've done on other methods. We're going to get a cursor. And then we're going to execute with our cursor with connection. So we're going to say cursor.execute, and we're going to go through and add in the likes. So we're going to say insert into likes the user ID and the post ID values, and we want it to be our user ID and our post ID. And then semicolon, and then we'll take our like and model dump it to put it into a dictionary. And so that should be all we need to do here, and then we can add a like. And so now we'll just go through and go to our app and make a new root for this. So we'll say add a like at app.post. It's going to be / like, and we're going to give it an async definition, and it's going to be a add like. And actually, just to make sure this doesn't conflict with the one we just made in our database, we'll say upload like. And so we need to give it the like. So let's give it a like, which is the type like. Actually, no, so we'll actually just need to give it a user ID. So we'll just give it a post ID, which is going to be an int. And then on here, for right now, we won't return anything. We'll fix that in a little bit. So we'll say on here, we want to first generate a like. Oh, actually, so we need the user ID. So let's get our user ID, which, if you recall, we can just use this this right here. And actually, we can actually give this a new yeah. So we can use this here, get the user ID for the logged in user. User ID is equal to an int equals to depends on OAuth cookie. So that will give us our user ID and post ID. So once we have these, we can generate a new like. So we'll say our like is equal to a like of user ID is equal to user ID, and post ID is equal to post ID. And we'll get an error because like is not defined, so we need to go back and import it. So we'll go here to our models and import the like. And then we'll find back here where we have the like. And so now that doesn't give us an error. And so the next thing we'll need to do is just add it to our database. So again, we'll say add a like, and we'll need to give it our connection and the like. And again, it's not defined, so let's go back here to our top here, and we'll say from our database, add a like. And then now it's not giving us an error. So if we save this, we should be able to add a like. So let's go back into our database here, and let me log in real quick so that we can get our access token. So we'll sign in as test user. And then I'm going to go to the document page so we can test it out in the Open API page. So let's go to the like on the post here and see if we can add a like. Let's try it out. So let's just try post ID number 1 and see if this will work. So we got a 200 code, so that means it should have added it to the database. So let's just verify that it indeed did. So if we go here to our likes and show table, indeed we see user 1 liked post ID 1. So that worked for us. So we're got the add a like. So the next thing we'll need to do is modify our post so we can show the number of likes. So to add to the number of likes that we have on our post, we'll need to modify the post query in our database. So if we go here into get the post, let's see. So here's our get post, right? We want to get the post title, post text, and user ID. So what we want to actually have here is another column called number of likes. But that's not currently in this post database, so we're gonna have to do a join. But before I do so, I want to actually start modifying this. So whenever we get the post on our page, we'll only want to reduce the number because eventually we're gonna have several posts that we're gonna have, and we don't want to load that all on our user's page. So I'm just gonna have it at first default to 10 pages, and then we'll give it an offset parameter. So we'll say limit is going to be an integer, and we'll give it a default of 10, and we'll give it the offset is also an integer, and we'll give it 0. And we'll need to modify this because SQL doesn't use the offsets based on the actual index value, but we'll want to have it based on the pages. Actually, so maybe I'll call this a page. That's maybe more understandable. So we'll have here, we'll go through and say the offset is just simply equal to the limit times the page. So that'll give us the offset amount that we're looking for. And then now what we want to do is limit the, put that limit in. So we'll say limit by the limit, and then offset. And then let's go through and add this in as our parameters. So we'll say our limit is our limit, and our offset is our offset. And let me just verify that our database is still working. So let's just go to our home page, and it looks like we're still getting that. So I think we're good there. So now that we have that, we'll want to add that another column called number of likes. So to get the number of likes, we're actually going to need to join this table with another table. So the way I typically do that is what's called a common table expression. So let's go and see how we do that. So we'll say with keyword, and we'll give it the table name. So we'll say with number of likes. We'll call this likes count as, and then we'll get it parentheses, and then now we can put another SQL query in here to pull in this table. So we'll say select, and what do we want to select? We want to select the number of likes, the count of star, and the post ID. This will be from our likes table, and we'll want to group it by our post ID. Group it by post ID. Now, what we want to do also is we'll actually want to put this expression into a CT as well, because we're going to want to not do a massive lookup on this table. We're only going to look for the posts that are currently loaded into our user's page. So we'll go through here and say, okay, let's do these and put this here. So this will also be the width, and this is going to be the post page as, and then we'll put it in here. And then now, since this will be our second CT, we'll put a comma at the end of here and then get rid of this likes. And then this will be our next CTE. And so now that we have this, now we can just get our full table that we're looking for. So we'll want to say select post title, post text, user ID, and we want to get the number of likes. So I'll go through here and actually just call this num likes. And for the posts, let's see, post ID. And actually we'll need to select the post ID as, actually we don't need the post ID here. So we'll want to do that. Actually I do need the post ID on here, sorry. So we'll do post ID. And then what do we want to from? We'll do this from our post page. And then we want to join it on the other page that we created, which is called the likes count. And we'll call this post page P. And then on the and then we'll call this the likes L. And then we'll want to join it using the post ID. And then we want to specify that this is a left join. So basically, if there's no likes on the post, we still want to get the post, and then it'll just be a null value on the number of likes. So that should be everything that we need. The only last thing we need to do is go into the likes, and we just need to put a where clause on here. So we'll say where post ID is in select post ID from our post page. So that will only get us the post IDs that are in here, so that we're not pulling in all the post IDs. And so I think this should be okay for us. So let's of course put our semicolon here. And now the next thing we'll need to do is we need to update our model, because right now our post doesn't have this number of likes. So we need to go through and add that to our models. So if we go to our post, which should be right here, we need to also have a field called number of likes, and it can take on the values of either none or an integer. So that will be there. And so let's see if we can run this query and see if everything still runs without an error. So let's reload the page and we get an error. So let's see what our error message is. So there's an error in our syntax here for our SQL query. So I think I figured out the error here. So in SQL, the from clause always has to go before the where clause. So let's put this here. And then now let's see if our page can load correctly. So let's go back to the index and see if this will load. And we get another error. So let's see what the no such table like count. So let's see what's going on here. So this is likes count. So I should have just put the like count. Let's try that again and see what we get on here. And now we get our post are loading. So, but let's just see if we can visualize the number of likes. So let's just go to the docs and pull up this get the post real quick. So let's see, get post, and let's just execute this query and execute it. And so it returns this here. So that's actually not what we need. So I'm just going to go and put a breakpoint on the line of code here on our app so we can just visualize this. So let's go to our get post and our get post here. So here's our post, and then we want to get the post here. So let's just put a breakpoint here so we can visualize if this works. Let's go to our website and we'll try this again, execute. And now it's in the debugger. So let's just see if we can see our post here. And we can see indeed we're now getting number of likes. So if there's no likes, it's a none. And then on this first one, we see number of likes is equal to 1. So that looks like it's doing what we needed. So now that's all that's left for us to do is just start making changes to the front end. So we'll get into that next. So for our front end, I'm going to go and make a new template here. So the new template I'm going to add is going to be a count liker, like counter, counter.html. So let's go and add our like counter in here. So this is going to be pretty simple. We'll do a p block, and then in here we're going to do a if statement. So if post.num likes is none, or actually we'll just do if not post.number of likes. So this will check if it's a none. Then we'll say no likes, no likes. Else we'll do an elif post.num likes is equal to 1. Then we'll say there's 1 like. And then finally we'll say else post.num likes. Actually, we don't need anything for the else, sorry. So we can just say the else. And then we'll just say how many likes there are. We'll say post.num likes. So now we have this component, we can embed it into our post. So let's go back into our post. And on here, at the very end of our card content, we'll do our include block. So we'll say include, and what we're going to include is the new like counter .html. So let's see if that added it to our page. So we'll go back to our home page, and let's see what we got, an error message maybe, and if, so we messed up the syntax in our Jinja templating. So let's go back to our counter, and we forgot to put the end block, so let's add this in here, and if. And now let's go back and reload our page. And now we can see we got 1 like here, no like here. So we can see now all the pages that have likes and no likes. So that's completed. So now the next thing we'll want to do is add the like button. So for our like button, we're going to go and add that to the bottom of our postcard. So let's go back to Bulma.io and pull up the card documentation. So if we go down here to component and card, it'll give us some information on how to set the card footer. So we want to go down here to card footer, and it gives us an example of something like this here. So we'll want to implement something similar to this. So I'm just going to go and copy this and go back into my code base. And I'm going to add a new component called post footer.html. And I'm going to just copy this in here. So it's got the div class card footer, and then we're just going to get rid of this. So for right now, this will be just the like button, and this will be this. And we don't need the href right now. And then I'm actually just going to go and further break this down to make this an actual like button, button.html. So let's go back to our footer. Let's see, post footer. And I'm just going to take this like button out and put it into the like button that we just added. And let's go back to our post footer and include the that like button. And then go back to our actual post and include the footer. And then after that, let's see if it loads up on our page. So let's go back here and see if we got a page. And we didn't give it the proper name on the footer file because it was called post footer. So post footer, and then we go back here, and now we're getting it, but we don't see the button. So I think I forgot to save this here. So let's go back, save this here. And then whenever we reload the page, we see we would get a big like button here. As we add more buttons, this will start to change. But for now, we now got the the footer and the like button added. So the next thing we'll need to do is add, when we click this like button, that we go and put that post in. So let's go ahead and do that. So let's go back to our like button. And so we're going to need to do some HTMX methods right here. So we'll do HTMX, and we're going to call it HX dot, and we're going to do a post method, right? The post method we're going to do is our / I believe it was like, and we want to do HX dot, what was the HX dot, we need to do it on the click event is equal to, and let me pull up the HTMX documentation again. So let's go HTMX, go here, and let's pull up the references. So we want the HX on, or sorry, HX trigger. So we need to go to our HX trigger, not event, HX trigger. Trigger is equal to clicked, and then our hx.val is going to be equal to the post ID. So on the val, we'll just we can put in a JSON here. So we'll do this, and we're going to say post ID is equal to the post.post ID. And then the HX swap is just going to be the current button. So the current target will be just this button here. So that's fine right now. Oh, we'll come back to the target later. So let's just see if we can get this to add to our post. But before we do that, I don't believe we currently have the post ID as part of our model for the post. So we need to get the post ID as well. So let's go ahead here and add in the post ID, which is going to be an integer. It's required, so we don't need to include none. And let's go back to our database. And on here, we want to also include the post ID. So we'll do post ID, and we need to specify which post ID we're doing it. So it's going to be from the p.postid, and we'll call it post ID. So let's go back to our page, and let's see if we can still load it without any errors. So it looks like we got it. So let's see if we can hit the like button, and let's see. So we hit the like button, but nothing happened. So we have some sort of error going on. So let's try click. And then we go back, and let's reload the page. And let's see what happens when we do this. And we aren't logged in with our access token. So again, we'll need to go and fix this issue with the access token. We'll get to that later, but let me go and log in real quick with the test user. And now let's see what happens when we press the like button. So we got an unprocessable entity, and that's because we need to we need to send over JSON data. So hx.ext is going to be equal to json.enc. So let's go back, and we'll do this here, and let's see what happened. So we still get an unprocessable entity. So I think I figured out what the issue was here. The first thing is on this HX val, it actually needs to be HX vals. So that was a simple typo. And then on this JSON that we're uploading here, we actually just need to use single colons here. And that should hopefully fix that issue. So now if we go there, and then the other issue is on our app.py, we needed to, let's see, where is our sign up? Or add a like. So here's our like. So on the other one, is, we actually need to tell this post ID to pull in the post ID field for whenever we generate the like. So I think that should fix the issue for us here. So let's refresh the page and let's see if we click here, what happens. So it looks like that went through because now we're getting a null value because we didn't set it properly. So yeah, we got the post was okay. And so let's go back and visualize our database and see if that was added to our likes. So we'll let me open up the database here and let's pull in the likes table and see if we can show that that second like was added, which we can see indeed it was. So now we're posting it from the database. So now we just need to go back and figure out what we want to return back from the our app response. So what we'll want to do on the like button is we want to change the target. So whenever we do the target, what we want to happen is we want to, one, re-upload that, we want to pull in that post which shows that the like counter incremented, and then we'll want to show the like and then show that the current user hit the like button. So we'll want to give them confirmation that they already selected the like. So in order to do that, we're just going to need to reload the post. So we'll do hx-target, and we're going to call this to the post card, and we're going to give it the postcard with the current post.post ID. And so in order to target this, we need to go back into our, and this actually needs a hashtag just to show that it's an ID. So let's go back to our post here. And so on our card here, we want to say, which class this is. We'll give it the ID is equal to post card underscore post.post ID, so that this will be the one that's that we're refreshing this. So let's go back and see if it's updating the target. So let's try liking a post, and let's see, we got an error because we already selected that one. So that one's already been selected. We'll get to that later. Let's try this one, which we haven't liked yet, and let's see, we get the null. Let's see, so did we save it? Postcard, post ID. The like button should be the postcard underscore post.post ID. So I think that's correct. So let's go back to our app here, and on the like, we'll just return the template for the post, right? So in here, we're going to change the template for the like. So we're going to say this is a HTML template, HTML response. And on here, we're going to get a template dot template response and the request. So we need to give it a request as a parameter as well. So on their templates, we want to give it that request. And on the root we want to go to our / post post.html. And actually for the post, we'll actually need to break this post down. So let's go and create a new template again called post. So let's go to post and add one called post. And so on the post, let's take our existing post here and let's just get everything that's not inside this this for block. So it's going to be these 15 line of code here. Oops. And now let's go to our post, add it in, and then go back to our post and say include post. Include our the post. Post.html. And let's just refresh, make sure that's still working. So yep, it still works. So we have our post here on the template response, but we need to give it a context. Right now, whenever we set and add the like, we want to go and refresh that post and put it back on the web page. So we'll need to give it the proper context on this template so it knows what information to pull. So we'll need to add another method here, which basically gets the post information again. So we're going to go back into our database and we're going to create another method. So it's just going to be like called get single post. So it's going to be very similar to our existing get post, but it'll be just for one single post. So we're going to have we're going to call this method get single post. And we're still going to have a connection, but the only thing is now we don't need a page or this page here, but we will need the post ID. So this will tell us which post we're doing this for. And so it's going to be very similar to this query that we already wrote, except we don't need this limit or this offset. And instead, we just want to select this post where the post is equal to the post ID that we had. So we'll do where posts ID is equal to our post ID. And then we'll keep everything else, I think here, basically the same, and that should work. Our payload will change. So our payload is just going to be the post ID. And this is just going to be post ID. And then actually we can probably simplify this. So we don't actually need to on this one here, we can actually just get the count. We don't need to do the group by. So all we got to do is say post ID is equal to again our post ID, and then we can get rid of this group by. That just kind of simplifies that query down a little bit. So we'll just get the count of the likes for that particular post ID, and then here we're just going to merge it back on the original posting, and then from there, all we need to do is return the post.post. So in this case, we're actually just going to return a single post, so we don't need these posts here. So we can do post, and we're going to do model validate. And instead of this post, we're just going to do our cursor.fetch1, since there's only one single posting. And so now let's go back to our app and let's go and import this get single post in. So we'll go from our database to say get single post, and let's go back to our like. And on here we want to now get the single post, right? So we'll say get single post, and the post is going to be the post, give it the connection and the post ID, and the post ID, and from there we'll go and say this is and let's just go and do model dump. So this will be equal to our context, and now we'll have to go back, and since our context is expecting a outer dictionary, but that's called post. So we'll just need to wrap this inside of another dictionary that says post, and then we'll give it the existing context. And so now we can pass in the context into our template. Our context is equal to context. And then I think that's all we needed to do. So now we should be able to add the like in, and then we'll get the post back, and then we'll update our template. So let's see if that works. So let's go back to our page here, and let's find a comment that we haven't yet added a like on. So let's add the like here, and let's see, we got an error message on our SQL. So let's go back here and go to our database. So let's see, what did we do wrong here? So the post needs to go above the where statement. So let's see that there, and then let's go back to our data. Let's try that again. Let's refresh this page, and then let's see if what happens when we click the like. Let's see, we cannot join on the column post ID, column not present in both tables. So we probably need to include that. So we'll say the post ID so we can join it on this table. Let's go back here, refresh, and let's try that again. And let's see, post ID is unsupported type, error binding the parameter post ID. So we got post ID is unsupported type. That's because we just passed it in directly a pydantic model of post ID. So this actually needs to be dot post ID. And so now let's go back to our website and then see if we can refresh that again. And I'm running out of ones to like, so hopefully this works. Add the like, and sure enough, we get it there. So we got the content open. And then just let's maybe just check it a few more times. I'm just going to go on here and just delete all the likes off our database just to wipe it out so there's no more likes. And let's just verify that we can like it, and indeed we see we like it and we get it to update. So that looks like we wanted to do. So now that we have the like button working, the next thing we want to do is we want to check, so if the user is not signed in, like we are right now, we don't want this like button to appear so that they don't have the option to like a post. So let's go back to our code here. And what we want to do is whenever we go to the, where is it, the post. So on this get post right here, right now we're getting the post, but we don't have a context to let us know if we're signed in. So what we want to do is we want to get the an access token. So we'll do get this line right here, this get access token. And then we want to add that into our context. So we have our context is get post connection.model dump. So do our context. So we'll say if access token. Then we want to do context of access token. Context of login equals to true. And then whenever we go down to our post, so we'll go to the footer. So let's go to our post footer. And so if we're logged in, then we don't. If we're not logged in, then we don't want to show this button. So we can say if login, then we can include the like button. Otherwise, we won't. So we'll do end if. And now let's go and reload our page here. So now the like disappeared. So let's sign in, verify it comes in. So we'll do test user. We still get the like buttons appearing. We can sign out, and we'll go back into our home page, and now the like buttons disappeared. So one more quick adjustment we need to make is whenever we're uploading the like, we need to let the context know that we are a logged in user. So I'm just going to go and do a login is equal to true, since we really don't need to access the token right here, since the fact that they were able to add a like means they must have been had a token anyways to put it in. So we can just assume that they had the access token. So now whenever we add a like, the like button doesn't disappear. So the next thing we need to do now is, and the final thing we'll do before we wrap up this video, is we want this like button to basically change, if the user's already liked it, we want it to give it a visual that the user's already liked it. So we'll go and do that real quick. So in order to do that, we again need to change our query for the post. So if we go back to our database, we'll need to do one more CTE here. And so on both the get single post and all the post. So on this one, we'll need to say, okay, select we want to select the user ID where user ID is equal to the user ID, and post ID is equal to the post ID. And so we'll save this as a new table. We'll say user liked as. And so what this query will let us do is it'll basically will check the user who's currently logged in and determine, okay, if they like the current post, it'll let us know. So we'll need to add that in as a parameter. And actually, I'm going to get rid of this as a keyword. We don't need a default. And so we'll just make it a requirement for us to have a user ID, which is going to be an int. And so on here, we'll go and give it the user ID. And this will be the user ID. And then now we'll go back on number 2. And oops, we'll go back on our app and make a small correction there. So let's go back to our app. And on here, we need to send the user ID, which we do have. So we can just add in the user ID. So we'll send in a here connection like, and then the get the single post. So we'll have the post user ID, and we need to give the user ID. So that should now work. And so now we'll need to go back to our other query and add that same logic in. So let's go back into our database. So for this query, we need to do a very similar one. So we'll say user liked as, and then we'll do a similar query here. And this is going to be select user ID from likes, where user ID is currently equal to the colon user ID, and the post ID is in the select post ID from the post page. And so what this will allow us to do is actually go through and get the user ID, if the user is here. So if the user went in and liked to post on any of these posts here, it'll pull it in. And so we actually need to add that in as here. So we'll need to make another column here, and we'll say user. We'll call it u.user ID, and we'll call this as user liked. And so we'll again need to do another left join. So we'll do another left join here. Left join on user liked, and this will be u, and we'll say using the post ID. So we'll actually need to pull in the post IDs here as well. Post ID. And we'll need to replicate this on our other one. And yeah, so we'll need to replicate this on our other one. So let's go back down here, and we need to replicate that query. So we'll say user, so again, we'll need to do the left join here. Left join on the user liked. And again, we'll have to do using on the post ID. Using on the post ID. And then again, we'll have to add the post ID here. And so that should give us the query, but now we need to go through and update our dictionary. And then I think on the post, we actually need to send in the logged in user as well here. So we'll put here and we'll say the get post user ID, and this will be an int or none, and it'll be equal to none by default. Since we can still access this page if we're not logged in. So now let's go back onto our app, And let's go back on the get the post. So here's our post. So on here we'll need to get post. So on this one we'll now need to give it the user ID. So let's see. So we can say here, let's pull in this here. So we'll go. And here I'll say user ID equal to none. And then we can just get it from our access token here. So we'll need to go back and actually decrypt our access token. So we'll actually go back here and we can break this out into like a smaller function here. So we'll say define decrypt our access token, and it'll take our access token, which will be a string, and we'll just kind of copy this right here. So to delete these, so we'll copy this here, token request. So here, actually we'll just put this here, and then we just need to take our access token and split it here. Access token, split it. And then we'll say this is our token. Actually, yeah, this will be our data. Data is equal to that, or token. This will be token. And then so for this one, we'll want to go and let's take this guy back here. So here we'll say our data is equal to, we'll call this decrypt method with our decrypt access token. And we don't need to call the split on here anymore, since that's what we're going to call next. So we'll call split. And then on this, actually, we do need to ignore the first part, the bearer. And so now we can have this method that we can decrypt our access token on our get post. So if that's the case, we want to get our access token. So we want to decrypt our access token with our access token here. And whenever we decrypt it, we only want to get the user ID. And this will be our user ID. And so now we can get the post, and again, we'll have to pass it the user ID. So now that we have it, we can pass it in. So we'll say this is our user ID. And we can pass it in here. And so now if we, let's see if our website isn't completely broken since we made a bunch of changes. And it looks like we have an error, ambiguous column name, user ID on our query. So let's go to our query here. And the user ID is ambiguous right here, so we need to specify which column we're looking at. In this case, we want the user ID who actually made the post, not the currently logged in user. So in that case, we're actually just going to pull in the user from the P post page, so p.user, and then we want to rename this back as user ID. And then we'll need to do the same thing on our other one. So before we forget, actually we have to do it on that one too, so we already did it. So on here we'll need to go again p.user ID, and we'll rename this column to user ID. And now let's go back to our page and see what happens now. So we still get a server error. So we didn't supply a binding value for the user ID. So let's see our context here. Yep, we need to give a context of user ID. And this is going to be user ID. So we got the main page to load, but we didn't see the post. So let's see what error we got. Context was referenced before assignment on line 55. So let's go back to our app and let's see on line 55. Context was right here, so we didn't actually have it available yet. So the context, we'll just say, and actually override the context right here. So we'll just do so if user ID, we'll do this. And then finally, we can just do it again here. We'll say if access token, we'll update our context. Not the most elegant, but we can always refactor later. So let's refresh it, and we're still getting an error. None type is not subscriptable. Yeah, we're not returning a none type because we don't return our data back. So we probably need to return our data back. That's probably why we're getting an error here. So let's continue, and then we can get rid of that breakpoint. And now let's go back and see what happens. So it looks like we're getting our post upload. So that looks correct. So that means our query must be running. But now we'll need to actually go back and update our template to actually verify that we're able to see if the users liked it or not. So to get it to show up on our like button, I'm going to quickly go and make this a button real quick. So I'm going to add the class button on here for our like button. And then I'm going to add a Jinja if statement here. So I'll say if, and we're going to do it on post.userLiked. So if the user liked it, then we're going to say is dash success, and we'll enter if. And so that should allow us to always visualize if the user has already liked it. So let's go back and refresh the page here. And so if we see here, now we can see that the user did like this one and like this one. They didn't like this one. Let's click on it. Now they liked it. And so now we just need to have one more thing done. So whenever we like the page, whenever it's already been liked, we just want to unlike it. So let's go back and create some logic that will fix that. So let's go back to our like route on our app. So let's see here on our like route, which is going to be at the bottom here. So first we want to check if the user's already they've already liked it. So we may want to say, okay, so here, check if already liked. And so, if so, delete. Otherwise, we'll want to otherwise add. So we already have the otherwise add right here. So we just need to check and then do the delete. So we'll make two different methods in our database to check it and then delete it. So the checking for the like will be pretty simple. So we'll just say define check like. And again, we'll give her a connection, and we'll give it the like, which is a like, and we'll just return a bool. So we'll say cursor is equal to connection, not cursor, and then we want to go and execute a new one, execute. So we'll say select star from likes where user ID is equal to user ID and post ID is equal to post ID. And we'll go and dump our model, like.model dump. And then we'll go and return return true if cursor dot fetch one cursor. So cursor dot fetch one. So we'll say return true if cursor dot fetch one is not none, else we'll return else false. So that should take care of the check the like, and then we'll want to delete a like. So delete like. So this will be pretty similar. We'll give it a connection, and we'll give it a like, which is the like. Return none here, and then we'll say cursor is equal to connection dot cursor, and then cursor dot execute, and then here we'll just say delete from likes where like user ID equal to our user ID and post ID equal to our post ID, and then we'll just pass it in our like dot model dump. So let's go back to our app. Well, here's our app right here. So again, we just need to import these back in. So let's go and import that from our database. So we'll do, and this is getting quite long, so check the like, and we want to delete a like. Delete the like. And let's go and back to our like. And on here, so we'll check if we have the like. So we'll say if check like with the connection and the like. So if they like it, we'll want to delete it. So we'll say delete the like. Otherwise, we want to add a like. Okay, so let's go back to our website and see if we can toggle the likes. Let me just refresh the page here, and let's see if we took this, and we can see we toggle the like on and off. And so I think that's pretty much it. So that's it for this episode. I know this is a really long one. I thought this was going to be a little bit shorter. It ended up being about an hour long, but some of these new features that we're going to add are a little bit more involved. And as you can tell, the SQL queries are going to get a little bit more complex as we keep adding more and more things into our database and more things into our more features into our front end. But I think it's really exciting. So in the next episode, we're going to add a comment for our post. And then after that, we're going to keep adding more and more features like uploading a user picture, user pages, uploading pictures to our posts, and several others. So if you like it, just leave a comment. Let me know what you're thinking. If you like the video, consider liking and subscribing. It helps me out a lot. And again, thanks for watching. Bye.